This is my long overdue new phone, the Motorola G13. I'm currently filming this with my G9 Play, which actually has the same battery power as the G13. Not as powerful a processor, there's 2 extra bits to the processor. So I think the one I'm filming with now, I think it was an Octo. And I think this one has 2 quads and 1 6. 1 6 core and 1 quad core. So it has 2 extra. The same 500 battery. Comes in 3 colours. Comes in the grey, which I have got, the charcoal. It comes in a sort of fuchsia colour, which I don't like. It comes in some sort of girly colour, which I also don't like. So, I got the charcoal. So the first thing is, it's not quite as nice a colour as the one which I had, which I'm replacing, the G9. This is a very similar phone actually. We'll switch the torch off for a second and show you in the mirror the colour of the G9 so you can see how lovely it is, the G9 Play. Look at that sapphire colour. You can see it. It's in a silicone case, but you can see where the camera is. You can see some glimmers of that lovely sapphire colour, right? And on the Motorola, on the bat signal there, you can see that blue, that lovely sapphire or indigo blue. Gorgeous, it's absolutely gorgeous, the colour of this phone that I'm filming with. Now, the other thing, let's open the box, is that the G13 is almost exactly the same size as the G9, which I'm pleased about. In fact, it is ever so slightly shorter this way, just about that much. The rest is almost exactly the same size. I think it's ever so slightly thinner as well, actually. We can't test the camera because we're not going to switch this baby on today. We're just unboxing it and having a look. Let's put the torch back on so we can see it properly. So, there it is. It's got this low light sensitivity. Well, the G9 actually had a long exposure facility where you could do like a 4-second, 3-second exposure, and then it would process the shot and give you a gorgeous night shot. So I don't know if it has the night vision. It has low light sensitivity, which is probably not quite the same as night vision. So maybe that will be equivalent to using a camera at about 1/4 of a second, an old school camera. Now it's grey. It's kind of charcoal. As you see, it almost looks like denim or slightly even finer than that. But that is all an illusion created by the this silicone case. Because the silicone case, sorry you're looking at my ceiling now, you're probably looking at Herman. But the silicone case is what's got the texture. I don't know if you can see that there. But the silicone case has the texture, and in fact the actual phone is pure, like a pure piece of slate. It is slate grey. It's very James Bond, it's very Daniel Craig, and it's the silicone case that has got this really interesting texture to it. Probably helps it to grip the phone. In fact, the other thing about the silicone case is that rather than being just a round coming around it like they usually do, it almost feels like it's got a bar, a thick heavy bar running right the way around the rim of the whole thing. It's more squarified. It's got this kind of raised extra edge of bar going all the way around it, and it just makes the whole thing feel more square and more like a phone. Even though it's in the case, it feels more like a phone. Normally when they're in a case they feel like a, you know, they're in a condom or whatever. So we're just going to pop it back in because you should never really leave. If you're going to be given a free protective case, you've only got yourself to blame if you take it out. So I'll put it back in, hopefully the right way around. So there's our lovely cameras. The cameras do look very posh with that nice shiny mounting plate. They're the same 3 cameras that I've got on this G9, but in a different place, which is really like, why did you do that? Look, on the G9, the cameras, they're in the middle. See, there they are in the middle. There's the bat signal fingerprint sensor. Cameras are in the middle. All 4 of them. You can see that blue colour again now, can't you? It's gorgeous. On the G13, they've put the cameras in the corner. I mean, I know they are trying to copy the iPhone. This is basically a budget Android iPhone. But let's not use that word wrongly, that word budget, because these are beautiful phones, these Motorolas. They're fantastically well designed, and I think probably much better value for money than any iPhone. This was £125 on offer, probably being phased out because it's probably the last 4G phone that Motorola will make. They will all be 5G after this. So the G22 I think is 5G already, and that's very similar to the G13. But interestingly enough, doesn't have the stereo speakers. That was one of the things I bought this for. I have wanted one of these even since I bought this one. I wanted a G13 because it has speakers, stereo speakers, and Dolby. So when you watch your movies on this, it's going to blow you away, baby. Dolby do know how to design sound. They're fantastic at it. Yeah, so we've got the 4 cameras on there, and one is a macro camera, one is a normal camera, and one is a distance measuring device, and it embeds the information of how far each point in the photograph was from the camera, so that then you can construct a 3-dimensional photograph later. And it can also do things like blur the background and things probably intelligently with that sort of data. Now, yeah, I thought, when I went on the Arena GSM, I thought it told me that we had a dedicated card slot, dedicated as separate to the SIM, but it doesn't appear to be. It seems to be SIM and card together, which is slightly annoying because I had thought that was going to be one of the benefits. I always have to switch my phone off whenever I take out my memory card because I'm always scared I'm going to pull out the SIM card and mess it up. You know, as I pull it out, it's going to corrupt it or something. I won't be able to make phone calls. So it's a bit annoying to have to take your SIM card out with the memory card. I wish they'd fix that, but they're just trying to make the design more simple. This is water resistant, whereas this one was only water repellent. But I have to say, this phone has done bloody well in the water. Well, not in the water, but in the driving rain. The only thing is with Motorola's, I find the screens tend to go a bit mayhem when you've got rain running down them. They really can't cope with the slightest amount of water, the screens. They're very sensitive. So it can be tricky operating them in the rain when they're absolutely running with water. But then some phones wouldn't work at all if they were running with water in the rain. At least they do work running with rain. And I do mean driving rain. I've never had a problem with this one with the driving rain. And there's certainly never water got inside it. As far as I understand, even on this one, which only is water repellent, nevertheless, things like the headphone jack and the SIM card slot and even the charger point, I believe they are completely sealed off from the inside of the phone. So even though it's a plug hole, it doesn't actually go anywhere. Even I think possibly the speaker doesn't go anywhere except to the speaker. And then it's sealed. And then the connections go through a sealed gasket to get into the phone. This one will obviously be very much like that because this is water resistant. It's also got Panda Glass. Well, I've had Gorilla Glass on the one we're looking through, and I did actually put a scratch on it when I first bought it. Literally, one of the first couple of days, I put a bloody great scratch on it. There's like it's a weird scratch because it's kind of, if this was the phone, right, the scratch, it's almost like that line there. So that line there under the Dolby, it's like a perfect line that long, right there on the screen. And it's never got longer, it's never gone away. I always go like that and go and catch it with my finger just to see, oh yeah, the scratch is still there. But the Gorilla Glass is really, really bloody good, I have to say. It's taken many, many tumbles, including landing flat on its face a few times, this G9, and the Gorilla Glass has been okay. So I'm hoping that Panda Glass is even better. I'll be really pleased about that if it is. The phone weighs a bit less, I think, than the G9. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see what else is in the box. Let's get on with it. And the instruction manuals. very short instruction manual. Very simple. Now the power button is also the fingerprint sensor this time. They put the fingerprint sensor on the side of the phone. Here it is. And that button feels indented. It just feels like an ind. It doesn't feel like a button when it's in this case. But that's partly because, as I say, we've got this raised piece of the silicon. It's like a raised, you can see it, can't you? Because it's thicker and so it's more opaque. Running round it like a solid band almost. It almost looks like a reinforced band. But it means that that power button feels like it's not a button. You know, it feels like it's just a touch control, but actually it is a button. It does press. And that will be the fingerprint sensor and the power button combined. Well, that's a clever idea, isn't it? That's a bloody clever idea. And then that's the volume there. Headphone jack in exactly the same spot. Thank you, Motos, for doing that for me. I can't see a notch taken out of the screen for the front. I can't even see the front camera. Where the hell is it? I do not know where the camera is on this side. Whether it's going to block part of the screen as it did on the G9. The G9 has a slightly annoying little notch taken out of the screen. If you watch a lot of movies, it can be annoying. I don't want to have a notch taken out of my screen. I don't even want to have rounded edges to my screen, really, but you're going to have that with a phone these days, I'm afraid. They take the screen right up to the edge of the phone so that you can get as much screen squeeze on the phone as possible, and that's understandable, really. So we will have all of that, I'm sure. There's the card slot there. You can barely see it, but it's there. There's our main speaker. There's our charger. There's our microphone. I hope it's stereo microphones again. I don't see any microphone hole on this end. Or a speaker hole, so quite how the stereo Dolby works. Microphone hole might be there. I think microphone, I think it might be like a really thin slot at the top there, barely visible. Let's just peel this off. I'm going to have to lose you a minute. I'm going to have to take this off again. It says Dolby Atmos. I suppose that's the Android version of Dolby. I cannot see any opening there at all. The only opening is the headphone socket, so maybe the speaker comes out through the headphone socket. Maybe the other microphone. I hope it records sound as well as the G9, because the G9... no, it's not there, the microphone hole. Could it be combined with the spike hole for the SIM card? I mean, it could be. I mean, anything's possible. But certainly my G9 has a microphone hole there next to the headphone socket. So I am going to be slightly disappointed if the recording isn't in stereo, because the G9 actually records in stereo. When you hold the phone like that, you get a stereo recording. So we will find out about that later as we start to use the phone, and I might put an update. But yeah, it's on the face of it, looks pretty good. Those cameras do look really smart. I'm annoyed that they've put them on the corner in a way, because I'm now going to have to get used to knowing that they're in the corner and not in the middle. Although, perfectly honest, I prefer them in the corner. On this phone, as you see, they were in the middle. I don't actually like that. I like them in the corner. Don't know why. But corner is more like an old-fashioned viewfinder, isn't it? An old-fashioned non-SLR camera. So this is this camera. Inside the box we're going to have one of these wonderful power adapters again with the movable leg. I like this, the movable pin. Oh, I'm going to put my light back on. It's got that nice movable pin, you see. So look at that, nice and compact. It's a clever design, that. And then we have a nice long, really good long cable in there. Good, thank you Motorola for a decent cable. Some phone companies don't even give you a charger these days, let alone a cable. And then inside here, yes, the little poker, because I'm always losing them. They should live in here. They should make a slight indent in here for them. Oh, I'm going to scratch my phone already if I'm not careful. Right, let's put it all back together. Very hard to get into the case, which is a good thing, I suppose. It seems to go in better sideways, like the page of a book, rather than vertically. Proximity sensor. Front camera does seem to take a hole out of the screen there, from the look of that. Oh, the speaker's there. It is. It's a thin slot at the top, the speaker. You can barely see it, but yeah. Can you see that? It's the thinnest imaginable slot there. How very clever. It's so thin you can hardly see it. So that's the stereo. That's the other speaker of the stereo. I suppose it would be the left-hand one normally, because you're normally going to hold it like that, are you? Yeah. So it's normally going to be the left speaker. Yeah, I only see one microphone, so that may be the one thing that I'm not so pleased about it. But it's a new phone, isn't it? You've got to have a new phone. It's got Panda Glass, whatever that is. If Panda Glass is anywhere near as good as Gorilla Glass, if it's better than Gorilla Glass, I'm going to be in clover. That's fantastic, because I am rough with phones. I'm dropping them, and not as rough as some people, but I'm outdoors with my phone a lot. I do drop them, and they do survive because they're Motorolas, and Motorolas